In this video, we're going to focus on the pseudo classes selectors, which are probably, well, the name is maybe not that common, but you've seen these many times, and which are the links. Commonly, they are related to links where you have a clicked version, or when you mouse over or hover over the link, you'll see a different design popping up. And that is what we call a pseudo class. So let's start and fix this here a bit, because we have a lot of divs here and everything. I want to remove all of this. It is not necessary anymore. And what we're going to do now is we're going to make a anchor tag here in href, and then in here we just put a hashtag, and then in here we can say, for example, hello, this is a button, for example. Alright, let's save this, and then if we open up our browser here, refresh, you can see if we click on it, this is basically an item. When you click on it, it says here on click, or this is more specific active or on focus. We can start to do something here. And what we want to do is, for example, if we hover over it, we should get a proper design or a proper effect. For example, getting it bold, etc., etc. These are pseudo classes. So let's start and do that one. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove everything here. We don't need anything here. And right now we have here only the anchor tag. So we say HA, and what we're going to do, we're going to give it some basic layout. So we're going to give it a border. Then we say here solid, then 1 pixel. Then we give this black. And then what we can do here, the background color, we say background. Then we say background has the color of hashtag 333. And finally, what we will have here is some padding and margin. Sorry, with some padding only, that's more than enough. Padding. And then we're going to put in here, we want the top and bottom, we want to have 5 pixels. So there's, we put in this first, this value here, the padding. And then we say left and right will be 10 pixels. And finally, the very last item is to give the color to the text. Color, we say white. And then probably here we should do as well, because I realize that there's a text decoration. If you refresh here, you can still see here, there is still something here we should have here, and maybe we should have a margin around here, so it will move a bit away from the side and from the top. And this underline we should remove. Alright, so we say here, text decoration. We say none. And finally, we say margin. We give it 10 pixels. If we save this now, refresh, we have a margin of 10 pixels. No. And I realize that this one is not working, of course, because it's href. Alright. We have an anchor tag. So what we can do here, to make it simple, we should make a div here. And I will explain to that as well. Or div, and this div will eventually have some margin top and bottom. The reason why it don't work right now is because a anchor tag is considered an inline style. Now we'll talk about it in the future. So it doesn't allow top and bottom margin. So I'm going to say here margin. Then we say here div. There we are. And then here finally. So once we have this, we save this, and now that looks better. Alright. So now we hover over it here, and since it's a link, by default the cursor becomes a clickable item, as you can see here. Alright. But what we want to do now is, when we hover over, we want to change this. Well, what do we want to do? Well, for example, we want to make the font bold, and we could give the background color a slightly new color. So let's do that one. So how to do this? With that, we're talking about pseudo classes. That's pseudo classes. That's what we're going to use. And here we're going to say the following. We will say here H for A, the column. I say hover. Hover is basically the mouse over, and the moment you are with your mouse on top of it, we want to see something happen. Right now there is already a hover effect on here, which is the mouse effect. So the moment our cursor goes on here, it becomes a pointer or a clicker, a pointer design cursor. But what we want to do more is we want to make maybe the font. We say here font weight Let me say bold, which makes the font in more thicker color. As you can see now, we have a new hover over item. Then what we can do as well is if we have active or on click, basically on focus, we can make this. We'll give it a not only a font weight. Well, we can do here. Well, we can do two things. We can use the focus. If focus, we can put it in here like that, and then we also say here focus. We'll have color, or not. Well, we can do here background color. Background. We make this dark blue. Then we save this. So the moment we are here, and then we click on it, and as you can see, we click on it, but we don't hold it because this is a focus. So the moment we click somewhere else, it will lose its focus. So if you want that active, meaning that when we click on it, then it maintains it as long as it is being clicked. So active. Then we make this dark red. I think that's also a color, and that's nice. All right. So refresh here, and then we are active. You can see here now. Oh, focus will work. Basically, this one will overrule the active. So this is probably not possible, but we can maybe save this. And now you can see it's become active. So active rule, the focus overrules the active because it's still, when you click on it, it's still on focus and it's still basically on focus right now. Same as if you do tab. You can see once you click on the tab or you press tab, you jump down here. So that would probably make it also blue and will overrule the active. So we save this, refresh, and then once I press tab, you can see I don't even click on it, but I press tab, and then I click somewhere else, we lose the focus, and it becomes blue again if we press again tab. So this is the way how you can use pseudo classes. Pseudo classes are very good for hovering effects, create a more interactivity on your website. This is becoming more and more important to hold people's attention. So sometimes you have something and needs to load. And if it needs to load, you want to create a certain effect to hold the customer and to avoid them to go away. So certain interactivity grabs it, helps you to create a attention. It expands the attention of the viewer or the visitor because it sees more items. It becomes moving instead of a static website. So this is very, very useful as well, especially if you go deeper with CSS and JavaScript. This is very, very useful. All right, and this is regarding to pseudo classes. And you can do hover. It can be also done on a div, for example. For example, we hover on the div, and then we could maybe give it a background color. So right now we have this div. Well, let's see here, div, and this div right now here is just this. We can make and work around with the div. So let's play around with the div a little bit. So we remove all of this, and then we just say only with the div. We say again div, we say hover, and then if there's a hover, we say background dark brown. Let's see if that's a color. Oh no, well, dark yellow probably, or dark green is one. I'm not mistaken. Yes, there you are. So the reason I can see it is if it becomes blue here, I know it is a command here, or else we can use different color codes. But for now, these are just basics, just for demo purposes. So if I refresh here, and if I hover over here, now you can see what happens is the button will not change color, but what really changes the color is the div. And if you look here, the div is basically everywhere here around. This here is the div. The div is completely full width of 100%. You can see here, this is the div. And the moment we hover over here, and that is the moment the div becomes active. The color of the button does not respond to it because it's not being pinpointed as changing the color. Very, very important to understand this, but with this you can play around with it a lot more. So this is extremely useful in understanding the pseudo classes in CSS. Thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you subscribe to my channel, and if you have any questions regarding this, make sure you put them in the comment section. I'll get back to you. And if you enjoyed this video, check out the next video here. You will probably enjoy this as well.